I want to speak very directly about a topic that's going to be a little tricky, and I think it's going to be hard for all of us to really wrap our heads around because there's not great answers here. This becomes a world of compromises and a world of, having to accept things we don't necessarily like. That's not a good thing, but there eventually you get stuck and you have to move past things to get to a new place. And I think that's where we find ourselves now. So I'm anxious to get into this around this is all fans and creators, how we interact with each other, and where we choose to get better. Hey, everybody, this is Perch. This is going to be a topic I guarantee you. Not everyone's going to agree here, but then I'm not. I'm actually shooting for agreement. I'm basically just going to try and lay out some topics, and we have to come to a solution on this together. Unfortunately, the only thing that I think hopefully we can all agree on is that the world of absolutes is not helping anyone right now. It's not getting us anywhere. So I'll bring this up because somebody I've been on a show with. I've been on the Comics Aficionados channel from time to time with Doc and with Wes and crew, and I like talking with Doc in particular. Doc has got a good mind for X-Men. He's got a lot of good history stored in his brain there, and it's also a guy that I think he gives comics a fair shake. And what I mean by that is one very specific example that you do not see from from everyone is he was frustrated by the direction of the X-Men line prior to Jonathan Hickman coming in. And he looked at the big marketing push of, Hickman's X-Men is going to change things forever and ever and ever. It will never be the same again. We promise this time, with a lot of skepticism. And so did I. So did everyone. I mean, anyone who's been in comics for any length of time looked at this stuff with skepticism because we've heard the nothing will ever be the same again way too many times to just buy into it. And that's not nobody fair would say you are not allowed to feel some skepticism with that marketing message in comics. It's a bit like saying this character will die forever. No one really believes that anymore, and that doesn't make them haters or jerks. But so Doc had a lot of skepticism, and then the House of X Powers of 10 came in. It was a good story, and Doc said, hey, it was good. He liked it. He was like, this is a good story. And it wasn't like, I don't think, some people are like, oh, he's eating crow. No, he wasn't eating crow. I mean, as humans, we're allowed to change our minds. We're allowed to say, I don't think this is going to work, and I'm skeptical. And then something comes out, and it's like, you know what? It was good after all, and I liked it. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's only crazy people that do not allow others to change their minds. People should be allowed to change their minds. Anyway, I think Doc is a reasonable guy. I think he's got a good comic mind. I think he's willing to change his mind, which is all the right components to having somebody you can talk, interact with, and deal with. Does he have firm opinions on things? Yes, and everyone does. It's again, including me. So I get the reputation like, oh, you're middle of the road guy. You don't have a firm opinion on everything. I have a very firm opinion on a ton of things. It's just I don't feel like I need to convince you of my opinion. I will lay it out, and then I don't feel any malice if you don't take my opinion. So I have as firm opinions as anyone. I have nobody can actually wander around and live a life without firm opinions. So Doc, I recently, now here's where this story is all going. So I'm on Twitter, and I retweet something that Greg Pak had posted around basically with his shop. He's adopting the, quote unquote, the TKO model, where when you make a purchase, I'm going to overly simplify this. When you make a purchase, some of that purchase can be steered toward a comic shop. Kind of basically, you should experience this for yourself. But you go and you make a purchase, and he's like, do you have a local comic shop? You put that information in, and then TKO will route some of the money to the local comic shop you picked. And it's their way of saying, hey, we think that local comic shops, those retailer shops, are valuable to comics, to the industry. And because of that, we want to keep funding them, even though you're buying a product from us, we're supplying it to you. The comic shop is arguably not involved. We know that, to have a healthy comics community, we need all these pieces. I mean, I could see a world where, frankly, some of the comic shops, if the profitability was happening there, if they were in good shape, that they would want to route some of their money to actually start to steer us to a smart digital platform, even though arguably it didn't impact them. It would generate new readers, and everybody knows you build the pot bigger, people get more rich, that helps everyone. This is very much, by the way, the Bill Gates, Steve Jobs mentality for tech when they were building out their ecosystems, and you had the Windows developer community or the Apple ecosystem. They gave money, they helped support companies that were not their own because they knew that if the overall ecosystem grew, that more money equals more profit equals more. It just is good for everyone to do this. So Greg Pak announces that through his store, he will also, kind of do what TKO is doing. You can route some of that money to a comic shop. And I retweeted this and I said, this is a good move. Credit where credit's due. Thanks to Greg Pak. I've met Mr. Pak at a convention before. He's a very nice guy. He's well articulate, well spoken. Whenever somebody by the way, says articulate, well spoken, it always feels like a backhanded compliment. What I mean here is that he knows his craft and he talks well about it. He can describe what he does very well, and I think that's more power to him. A lot of comic people who are in comics are they just don't have a lot of social interaction. In many cases, they're working from home. They're working very isolated. So you have people who struggle a little bit with vocalizing kind of what they're up to. And Pak is he does a very good job with that. He represents his business well in terms of when he talks to it. But Doc points out, this is where we bring him back into the story, that hey, this is bad business, but I'm basically that Greg Pak blocks people. I don't get it right away. I'm like, well, why are we bringing up blocking right now? Because we're talking about something where he's routing money. Blocking shouldn't play into this. Let's not bring every grievance, every positive, and every negative into every conversation. We'll never get anywhere if we do that, because everybody has things that they've done that are dodgy. So this isn't helpful. We're just talking about routing money. And then Doc goes, well, he corrects me in a sense of, in a very polite way, by the way. If I was Doc, I'd be like, hey, dumbass, I would have been a lot less pleasant. But I probably would have been pleasant, actually. It's my personality. But I don't expect everybody else to be that way. Doc says, hey, but I'm blocked. I don't know what you retweeted. I don't know this good thing that Greg Pak is doing because, all I see is this tweet is hidden from your view or whatever else. And a couple other people jumped into that with the same comment that, hey, I'm blocked. And it gets me to this tough, and of course, if you don't know what's being said, then you don't know what's being said. And for me, in many cases, when somebody runs a block bot against me, it's often helpful when somebody retweets them, because I'm like, oh, here's somebody who blocked me, and and this is somebody I put on a mental note for myself that here's somebody who blocked me that is potentially commenting on me from behind a wall, and I tend to mute those people or put them on a note for myself of here's people who block me. I keep that note. It's interesting, by the way. I think people are like, oh, Perch is very nice. He doesn't collect all. No, I know who blocks me. I've got a list. I don't. It's not an evil list. It's not like a I keep. It's not a. This isn't a list I keep that I'm going to act upon one day. It's simply here's some people that ran a block bot that I have to watch it, because unfortunately a lot of people block and then they talk crap at you behind the block. That's a pretty common thing that people do, which is definitely not cool. And anyway, but whatever. But what do we do here? So I mean, the problem that we have is that here's a guy, Greg Pak. He's doing something positive. He's doing something good for comics, good for fans, good for the community, good for retailers. This is an all positive thing that he's doing, and yet he's blocked some people, potentially en masse due to a bot, and therefore he's not getting the credit for those actions. I mean, it's if people aren't seeing it. And here's the most interesting part. This isn't even like he's blocked people who quote unquote deserved it or came at him, or maybe he's other creators. Let's say they're sharing a picture of their new couch or their new car, something personal, right? And arguably nobody has a right to see that. I mean, they can or they can't. I mean, it's their personal life. It's really. I actually think this is going to sound weird to people listening, but If you're a creator, a celebrity, a public figure, or just anyone, and you are posting up stuff about your life, yeah, you should curate that to whatever you want. It's your life, and I mean, you're under no obligation to have everybody see your new couch or your chair or whatever you're having to do. I mean, arguably, I don't know necessarily why you're posting that up in the first place if you're worried about people seeing it, but that's your business, not mine. But in this case, we're not talking about a couch or a chair or a car or something about personal life. We're actually talking about something that Greg is doing that is very beneficial to the industry. That should be a result of a lot of people on all different fronts, whether they like his comics or not, applauding him. And in many cases, other creators, maybe this can serve as a model for other creators to do as well. I think it's a good thing. Yet a lot of people aren't seeing it. They're unable to even see this post in the first place. So these good things he's doing are flying under the radar. People don't even know they exist. This is a problem for everyone. Because the thing is, and this is the problem with bots, is we're not talking about 100 jerks that maybe make a habit of spamming people online and going at them. I know that some of the fans don't like to hear this, but there are people online of all different fronts. It doesn't matter what group, quote unquote group you're a part of, that enjoy spending all day screwing with people. That is their entertainment. It's not reading comics. They may say they like comics, but that they like screwing with people. And I don't. And by the way, you may go, oh, you're talking about the Comicsgate group. I'm talking about all these different groups. I'll call it the drama group, because the people who spend all day trying to dunk on Comicsgate, for example, are really not serving any better of a purpose. These are just people who are, yelling at each other. This has nothing to do with comics. There are people who wake up every single day and they're like, I'm going to attack this person in this group, whatever that group is, and that's what I'm going to spend all day doing. And they do. The problem with bots, though, is that you're not just taking out those people. I don't think anyone would have a real problem if it was just kind of the quote unquote troublemakers on whatever side that were getting, removed from the list. The problem is it's taking, that group is about 1/10 or 1/20th of the group that you're catching with a bot. And a lot of the people are just not seeing this, and in many cases what I watch is it moves those people to become antagonistic. They start to become more aggressive where they weren't before naturally. And the solution is, well, okay, so we should just have the creators never use bots. I mean, that's what I do for myself. I don't use bots, and I think they're wrong for the reasons I've mentioned many times before. But I also, maybe this is like a very libertarian view, I think people have the right to do whatever they want. It's their feed, their channel. They can do. Nobody should be forced to open up and just say you can't use certain tools. That's not right either. It's their account, their feed, their choice. And with that choice comes consequences, but it's their choice. So I don't want a rule put in place. You can never do this. So what do you do? I mean, literally, we have a problem. I used the example with Doc before because here you have a comic fan. We know he's a comic fan. He's not, not a guy just out causing trouble. He is spending cash on comics. He's got a huge back issue collection. He knows his X-Men and many other comics very, very well, and he is part of the consumer base. He's clearly a customer, and in many cases, he has definite opinions. And then on the other hand, we have a creator who is, I'm sure, has his own opinions, does his own thing, and everything else, who is trying to do something that actually helps the comic community, that is a positive. And yet we have this gap between the two. I'm using Doc as an example, which is maybe unfair. Doc will come on here and say I'm a lunatic for doing this, but this fits the bill of many different fans and many different creators. This gap is unhealthy. This is not like we're talking about a SJW Spider-Man or I mean, just I don't know. There's so many, but just like the people who are out to just harass every day, who I always suspect are not buying any comics at all. They're just out here to cause trouble. Um, those people, I think we spend a lot of time talking about those people, the people who are just out to cause mischief. And I think those people represent a tiny, tiny fraction of the actual fans out there that are caught up in the zoo. What do we do? And this is where I don't have the solution. Is the solution that, hey, Greg Pack, you should never block people? Well, that's not fair. I mean, you may say that it's not fair. People should do what they want. You might say, well, if you go to work for a company, then you can't do this anymore. No, I'm not willing to sign up for that. I think if you go to work for a company, you should still be able to do what you like. Now, by the way, one big, huge difference here is this is Greg Pack, the creator account, not Marvel, the creator account. If it was Marvel, the creator account, suddenly blocking a bunch of fans and using bots, that's a big problem because that is a company account. You're blocking customers. It would be like if you had a storefront, and you do not have a right to do this in this country. If you had a storefront and you say, no, blanks allowed, no this group allowed. You can't do that legally. You can't do that. You can set rules for yourself. You could say if you come in here and you have no shirt, no shoes, and no mask in times of corona, then you're not allowed to come in. You are able to set those rules, but that is equivalent to blocking individuals. That's saying if you come in here and you act like a crazy person, we will block you. Okay, that's fair. I don't know anyone who would deny that. But what do we do? Because I on one hand, again, I totally respect where Doc's coming from. This isn't cool that these bots occurred and you caught these people in the net. On the other hand, I think that Greg Pak deserves a lot of praise for this. I think it's a great thing, and I wish more creators would do it. He needs that recognition. And we find ourselves stuck in this quagmire. So how do we move past it? What is the thing that moves us past this? And I would like for us to really start talking about that. Not the creators have to be more professional. That's not specific enough. I'm sorry. I know that makes good videos. It makes good titles. It sounds like a good term. Same thing with the creators have to stop being woke all the time. That, again, that's a slogan. That's not an action plan. What is the plan? Is it the creators should all unblock everyone? I mean, is that what it takes? Maybe that'd be helpful. Okay, so if they're going to do that, are the fans who decide to wake up every morning and just trash people and spam and create crap, are they going to stop that? Do fans believe it's realistic for them to be able to say, hey, we want no rules, but the creators all have to have rules? That's not fair either. What is the true solution here to get to a better spot? I've done videos and I've been criticized by creators for doing these videos that block bots are not necessary, because it is possible to go in there and it is possible to weed out your feed. Even though it looks scary when you suddenly have 100 mentions, it's actually not as much work as you think, and you can block people individually and it's healthier. But that's my personal preference. I don't think that's a rule. I think would be a good thing to do. So I'm looking for ideas here. Please, let's get in the comments below. Let's really solve this, because I think we can solve it. Somebody needs to, and it's not the big creators, the big channels are not solving this. So it's up to us. Let's solve what needs to be happen. What is the action plan to get things back to a sense of normalcy where fans can critique, can say I don't like this, can express pleasure, displeasure at things, and not have to worry they're going to be excommunicated along with every single person that they follow. At the same time, I think pros should have the ability to manage their own feed and basically be able to post without somebody posting a picture of nonsense in their feed or whatever happens to be, or can post something up and not have somebody go, hey, screw you, liberal, or whatever happened. We shouldn't. They should be able to be free from that. I think we should be able to come together and figure out a solution here. I think there are options, and I think if we start putting these plans out in sensible ways and stop with the overly general, be more professional. Again, I do agree. Everybody should be more professional. The problem is if I tell somebody, hey, you need to be more professional, I shout that at them, there's no plan there. There's no way to move forward. Maybe I need a therapist. I think I need a therapist. That's what I need. Leave me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let's get some ideas out there. Like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch. Let's figure this out together. Thanks for listening.